Hello everybody and welcome to episode 26 of my Guild Wars 2 series. Today we are taking the next big step in our series and we are going to be creating a brand new character. So far we have explored the humans, the Charrs, and the Norn, meaning that we now have the Asura and the Sylvari left. So for today I'm going to go ahead and pick an Asura, and we will explore the Sylvari later on. Let's go ahead and get started with creating a character for the Asura. Their description here reads, "These aquamagical inventors may be short in stature, but they're intellectual giants. Among the Asura, it's not the strong who survive, but the clever. Other races believe they should rule by virtue of their power and strength, but they're deluding themselves. In due time, all will serve the Asura." So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and create a male character here, and now we have a new profession. So similar to how we've explored 3 races, we have explored 3 professions, and those professions have been Guardian, Thief, and Ranger. And today, I'm going to go ahead and pick Engineer, and we will explore the 3rd and final of the medium classes here. We haven't explored Warrior Revenant yet, and we have not explored any of the 3 light classes. So we will get to those eventually, but I want to pick Engineer because Engineer goes really well with Asura, and it's also the first profession that I ever played in Guild Wars 2. My first ever character that I created, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, was a human engineer, shortly followed by a Charr warrior, which I still have that character. But Engineer was the first class that I got into the game with, and it didn't end up being my favorite class ever, but I still enjoyed quite a bit. So they are a melee or ranged class that have gadgets, turrets, and toolkits. They're a technomancer, and their complexity rating is 3, and I would generally agree with all of that. They are a jack of all trades, and with enough time, masters of many. So let's go ahead and go through some of our character creation options here as an Asura, and I'll just highlight any of the special things we have. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pick the smallest height here because Asuran are the smallest race that we can play as, so I'm going to go ahead and capitalize on being able to be as small as we can. I guess really quickly, since the last time we have created a character, they have added a randomize appearance button here. So let's go ahead and just press this really quickly, and we can see that we can change up a bunch of our appearances at random, and we'll get a ton of different options. This is really interesting, like hairstyle there. I'll go ahead and do it one more time, and let's go ahead and just go through it as normal now. So Asurans have skin markings, so we just have like our normal skin here, and then we can add markings on top, kind of similar to tattoos, but these are natural and not man-made. One of the biggest features of the Asura are their ears, so let's go ahead and look at a few of the different options here. We have like a very basic ear, slightly larger, much more droopy right there, and so on. And then we can also change like the ear tip shape and the thickness and the length as well, so we can make like really big ears like that. Or we could go the smaller route, which I think I might go on the smaller route here, like a little bit of thickness but not too far up there. And then same thing with the ear length, and then I think I'll keep the tip shape maybe about just slightly above the center there. And I think with this, I am pretty content with how our character looks, so let's go ahead and begin looking at our different engineering and assurance specific options that we can have. So for engineer, my most useful tool is my universal multi-tool pack. It's got a wrench, it's got a screwdriver, it's got a spade, it's got a lateral displacer. It doesn't matter what you need, this pack has a gadget for every situation, so it's a nice back piece item there. Or we could pick eagle-eyed goggles. Nothing sees the world more clearly than a Soaring Eagle. These goggles allows wearers to see just as well. Or we could pick panscopic monocle. The details matter. Whether you're double checking the wiring on your new explosives or changing the gear shaft on your favorite turret, this monocle lets you see what needs to be seen. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the eagle-eyed goggles here, mostly because I just like how they look. We have a really interesting dye job here. This is just the randomized dye that we got. We'll probably change it at some point. But now we can pick our personality, where trouble may follow me, but I use my blink to overcome it. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and go with dignity. I think that suits our character here decently well. And now our first assurance specific option. I'm a member of the College of Statics, Dynamics, or Synergetics. And in Assurance culture, we're going to learn that there are 3 prominent colleges that Assurance belong to, and Assurance can go to like multiple of them, though typically you kind of see Assurance only be in one of them. So looking at statics, builders and architects make up the College of Statics, and we build to last. Some call us conservative, but we excel at creating new designs, using old materials in innovative ways, and expanding the purview of known magics for practical application. In Dynamics, the College of Dynamics produces gizmo makers extraordinaire. Energy, enthusiasm, and boldness are our best qualities. qualities. We believe in leveraging the expendable nature of all things. If a prototype explodes, it isn't a failure, and thus the lesson goes unlearned. And then in synergetics, as members of the College of Synergetics, we study how energy patterns form and alchemical fractals propagate. Few beyond our college understand the philosophical and mystical complexities of our interests. We devoutly research the true nature of the eternal alchemy. And the eternal alchemy is something we're going to learn a little bit more about, but it's a guiding philosophy for a lot of Asuran culture. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Synergetics actually. All three of these colleges are pretty fun, but I think I am the most interested in the College of Synergetics, so let's go that route. Next, our second Asuran decision we can make here is my first invention was the Val-A Golem, a trans-atmospheric converter, or an infinity ball. So the Val-A Golem, most golems are powerhouses designed for warfare. They show absolutely no subtlety or originality of design. My golem was compact and efficient, and it had an unparalleled package of features. It revolutionized lab cleanup and it mixed a great cocktail too. A trans-atmospheric converter, what unmitigated joy to be able to change the weather at my whim. If only the prototype had been more powerful. Nevertheless, the design was cutting edge. My trans-atmospheric converter was a masterpiece of utter genius. I wish I'd had more funding. Or an infinity ball. They said it was a toy, a pipe dream, and a waste of resources. They were wrong. My invention predicts the future, so what if it doesn't predict it correctly every time? That's irrelevant. Could it give me an advantage? Reply hazy, ask again. So I am really interested in exploring the infinity ball, but I think we're going to explore the storyline later on in our Let's Play series, and I want to look at the trans-atmospheric converter first. So let's go ahead and pick this one. So our last Asuran option here that we can pick is my first advisor, the one who taught me almost everything I know, almost, was either Bronk, Zinga, Blip, or Canny. Counselor Canny wasn't just another bureaucrat. She was an esopolitical parascientologist. She was fond of saying, always bring a witness, preferably an expendable one. You will never know when you will need a scapegoat. Or Blip. Master Blip was known for his redundancies as well as his redundancies. He often said, your first try should never be your last, especially if it succeeded. You can always succeed bigger next time. Zinga, Mistress Zinga taught me that the best form of magic is good old-fashioned luck. She liked to say planning ahead is for ninnies who think they can predict every possible outcome. The future is mutable. Go with the flow. And then lastly, Bronk. Good old Master Bronk taught me the benefits of superior firepower. He liked to say when it comes to investing in the enemy, there's no such thing as overkill. And for my advisor, I'm going to go ahead and pick Canny. This isn't too big of an important story decision, but it's still nice for our own character lore, and it also improves the story as we go through it. So I'll pick Canny, and now we have our last step here of creating a character name. And for my name, I'm going to go ahead and call myself Crew Member Athos. So crews are basically the collections of Asurans that work together and work on different projects and experiments and stuff like that. They are similar to warbands that we see in Charr society, but they are put together within colleges and work together. So let's go ahead and create our character and explore the Asura.
I am Asura. I personify genius. My ancestors were driven from the heart of the earth, forced to live in this bright, wide world. Of course, we've excelled. We exceed expectations in everything we do. With Golem and Gate and Arcane Crystal, we have asserted our supremacy in this land and made it our own. We will not move another inch. Not for dragons, not for anyone. By studying the eternal alchemy, we can see that all things are connected. I am a scholar of interconnectivity and relationships. I belong to the College of Synergetics. Synergetics crews delve into the nature of fundamental coherence that many overlook and few exploit. My success positively impacts my crew, who then gratefully assist me, and I succeed even more brilliantly. Reciprocity. I've just been informed that defective golems, not mine of course, or causing havoc out in the jungle. Whatever the imbeciles outside the city have broken, I'll fix, and make my name doing so. In time, I will map the fabric of connectivity that weaves us all together. This is my story.
So this is the beginning of our Asuran story. Let's go ahead and start playing the tutorial mission here. Whenever we create a new character, we have the short mission we have to go through, and then we unlock the open world where we can begin exploring the world, and we can also do whatever we want at that point. But let's go ahead and talk to Rob here.
You there, check, check, and recheck. That's what I always tell them.
And he says there is a catastrophic glitch in the golem control system. In brief, they've all gone completely loopy. Find Peacemaker Gezi, she'll get to the bottom of this. So let's go ahead and run forward towards Gezi. We have a golem here that is fighting the Asuran. Let's go ahead and just take care of this one. As an engineer, we are pretty limited to what weapons we can use. Currently, we have a pistol, and we will be able to explore all the different weapons that we have. Let's go ahead and talk to Gezi first, though.
It's pure chaos out here. Unacceptable. What's going on?
Just what it looks like. These golems have gone mad. Zojja suspects someone tampered with them, and by someone, she means the Inquest.
Zojja's rarely wrong. Don't tell her I said rarely, by the way. If it is the Inquest, she's going to need help. Where can I find her?
At the malfunctioning gate that's spitting out these deranged golems. She claims she could feel them on the other side of the gate laughing at us.
Not for long. I'm going to help Zojja shut down the problem at its source. Thanks for the information.
So let's go ahead and run towards the portal, and we can go through it and help Zojja. Zojja is one of the members of Destiny's Edge. We have met Logan, Ritlock Brimstone, and Erstegaken, who are also all members of Destiny's Edge, or to be more accurate, former members of Destiny's Edge. In addition, there is the Inquest, which are basically like a fourth college of the Asura, where we have dynamics, statics, and synergetics that are all the main colleges, but then Asura that don't really like any of those teachings from any of the colleges, they joined the Inquest, and they're basically, to summarize, an evil faction.
Get in there quickly. She'll need your help.
So let's go ahead and run through the portal, and we can help Zojja deal with the Inquest.
Look! Snaff's footnote has joined our little party. And she brought friends.
Teo? Oh, for a second there I thought someone dangerous was behind this.
Oh, spare my tender feelings. It's true. I'm not dangerous. But these golems are. Here, let them show you what dangerous really means.
So let's go ahead and deal with all the Inquest here. We have Zojja by our side, who is also an engineer, and she has a very special golem named Mr. Sparkles. We also have Teo here, who is a prominent member of the Inquest and is someone that we are going to be dealing with for the next little bit of our story. The Inquest here seem to be trying to build something, so let's go ahead and make sure that they're not able to succeed there, and we can just shoot them all. We have already killed 10 Inquest for our 1,000 that we need to kill for that achievement.
You won?
Did that scramble your
I've invited
brainwaves?
another guest to your victory party.
Looks like the guest of honor has arrived. Let's take it down.
And it looks like the Inquest have summoned reinforcements, so let's go ahead and fight against Prototype X, which is a giant golem here. So let's go ahead and just aim towards the center of its mass there. It looks like that little portal thing on top of that
You're
little
looking
pedestal.
a little wobbly, dear. Did that scramble your brainwaves?
Let's go ahead and just try to shoot it, and I'm going to do my best to avoid all the different attacks, but I'm not doing the best job here. Currently with our pistol we only have our auto attack here, Fragmentation Shot, which is actually an AoE shot, I believe, where the bullet, once it hits an enemy, it's going to explode and deal damage and also deal bleeding. And this golem is almost dead and is now dying.
Fine. We'll be back. Let's see how you like it when someone kills your masterpiece.
And now we can enter into Metrica Province, the first zone of the Asura here in the open world of Tyria.
Hey, it's you again. I see you survived with your epidermis intact.
Of course. It takes more than a giant rampaging Inquest golem to get the better of me.
Modest, too. Well, you've earned a dash of praise, if you ask me. The crews around the city would kill for the assistance of an inventor with your talents. You should ask around. Make yourself invaluable.
Not a bad idea. Thanks.
So now we can go ahead and accept our reward here, and we also leveled up to level 2. Go ahead and just collect that. And now we can begin exploring the world. So first thing I'm going to do is just talk to the technician here, and let's get a little overview of this area.
Welcome to Metrica Province. You'll find private laboratories all over where our crews work on dangerous research, and we pay the price for excellence. Labs need to be carefully maintained, but I'm sure that's not news to you. We see a fair bit of interference from the Inquest. They're envious of our advances and covered our research materials. Our researchers could use someone with your talents. On your journey, you may also encounter nefarious events in the world. Don't let these opportunities pass by you. Jump in and help.
So let's go ahead and get started. I guess first thing I can do is come into here and we can go ahead and get a vista. And once we get this vista, I want to go ahead and talk about the area of the world we are in, as well as the Asura, so we can go ahead and dive deep into that. So starting off, I want to talk about where we are in the world. So far, with humans, we have explored Kryda, with Charr, we have explored Asuran, and with the Norn, we have explored the Shiver Peaks. We've only explored the beginning areas of each of those regions of the world, the first 2 or 3 zones of each region. Now with the Asura, we are exploring the Maguma jungle, and in the base game of Guild Wars 2, there are 5 major regions that we can explore, the 4 that I just listed, as well as Ore, which is the last 3 zones of the game that we can explore. Now if you're thinking through this, I just mentioned that there are 5 regions, and one of them is Ore, which is like an in-game area. So there are 4 other regions other than Ore, but there are a total of 5 regions. So with the Asura, they actually share the region of this world, which is called the Maguma jungle, with the Sylvari, the only other race that we haven't explored yet. So while the Norn, the humans, and the Charr all have their own regions of the world, basically all to themselves, more or less, the Asuran and the Sylvari share a region of the world together. And you might be thinking that that's like not really a good thing, but honestly it's pretty okay and it's all fine and dandy. A really quick thing about this map specifically, the vistas in this map are really fun to get to, and there are a few like small jumping puzzles that we'll be able to explore where we can just jump up on these little stones there that are floating and get to vistas like this one.
But I am certain it can be perfected.
In addition to that whole thing about regions that we were talking about, the Maguma jungle is also a region that is split up kind of. And the reason I say that is because Kryda, the Shiver Peaks, and Ascalon are all areas of the world that are basically, each map is connected to each other, and once you like leave like those maps, you kind of enter into a new region. Where with the Maguma jungle, there are maps in the Maguma jungle that are very separated from the rest of the Maguma jungle, where there's basically several maps of Kryda in between it. And the reason that is because of mechanical reasons. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at the world map right here. And basically, as we explore the Maguma jungle, we're kind of talking about this area of the world that I'm circling right here. This is the Maguma jungle. And then we have Kryda here, and then we have Kryda all the way down here, and then we have 2 more maps of the Maguma jungle here, and they are mechanically part of the Maguma jungle just for like the base game of Guild Wars 2. And when we are exploring this area of the world, they are pretty similar to these 3 zones I will be exploring right here, even though they're super far away. So like for the most part, it's fine to consider them part of the Maguma jungle, but in reality they are more of like a border to Kryda and also a border to the Shiver Peak Mountains, and they are in a region of the world lore-wise known as Steam Spur Mountains, but when we're looking at the game, mechanically, they are part of Maguma jungle. So it's kind of confusing where these maps are both the Steam Spur Mountains and the Maguma jungle, but they are each of those for different reasons. Where these maps mechanically are part of the Maguma jungle just to kind of add on to these maps, so there's not only 3 maps that are part of the Maguma jungle for like achievement purposes, but lore-wise, they are similar to the Maguma jungle, and they house a lot of Asuran and Sylvari lore that we'll be exploring. But as far as like the region specifically in the world that they're located, we can consider them the Steam Spur Mountains. If that's a little confusing, that is okay. I will remind us as we go through the maps and we get to that point. So a fun thing about this area of the road right here where this task is located, we can see that there are these different RC Golem like chess looking boards here, and this actually was kind of a mini game that existed for this task, but this task was really confusing for like newer people that may be newer to like MMORPGs, so they kind of removed that part of this task, and they actually moved it into the first expansion where there's a small area where we can do it, but nobody really plays that mini game at all. It's not like really like a fully fleshed mini game, it's just a little fun thing, but we'll have that to look forward to once we get to the first expansion. Back to talking about maps and Guild Wars 2, we have the Asura and the Sylvari that each have their own individual starting zone, but unlike the other races that have their own individual like second, third, and fourth zones, the Asuran and the Sylvari have a second zone that they share, and they also share that zone with some human stories as well. And then after that zone, they really start sharing a lot of zones with like a lot of other races of the world. So while in Kryta, for example, the first 4 zones are very human-centric, there aren't that many zones for the Asura and Sylvari as a whole. Which, again, might seem like a bad thing, but honestly, it's not too bad. Of course, I would like to see like more stuff fleshing out the Sylvari and the Asura as a whole, as far as like the leveling experience goes, but it's also not needed, and as far as like getting to level 80 goes, it's absolutely not needed, and we'll still have a lot of stuff to explore as far as the Sylvari and Asura go, especially once we get to like those level 50 to 70 zones that I was pointing out earlier, because those are very Sylvari and Asura focused as well. We have finished this task, and now let's go ahead and jump up here, and you can see that there is another path that we can go up to here with these little stones here. So let's go ahead and jump up, and then we can get to this vista right here. So now let's go ahead and drop down here, and we can begin working on this task with the progenies, and we have an event here that we can complete, so let's go ahead and do that. To begin talking about the Asura as a whole and some lore about their race, they are the last major race that we can play as that we saw in the original Guild Wars 1. And when we're looking at Guild Wars 1 as a whole, we have the first 3 campaigns, which the first one focused on both the humans and the Charrs, and then the last 2 focused only on humans but of different human nations, where the first one we looked at Ascalon and Kryta, and then the second one we looked at Cantha, and the third one we looked at Alona. But we didn't explore the Asura or the Norn until the expansion pack for Guild Wars 1, the Eye of the North expansion pack, where we explored a lot of the humans, the Charr, the Asura, and the Norn. And that expansion is where the Asura and the Norn were introduced. The Sylvari were not introduced at all in Guild Wars 1. They were mostly, for the most part, introduced in Guild Wars 2, as well as media that came out before Guild Wars 2. So the Asura are the last race that we can kind of look a lot at what happened in Guild Wars 1 and see how it impacts them here in Guild Wars 2. And in Guild Wars 1, they were a race of creatures that mostly lived underground in giant cities underneath the earth, far underneath the earth, and they were driven up from the underground world alongside some other races as well by the Elder Dragon Primordus, where a large focus on the Eye of the North expansion had to do with that Elder Dragon, specifically one of his lieutenants called the Great Destroyer. So overall, the destroyers, the minions of Primordus, basically drove the Asura out from their homeworld, and they were forced to the surface and forced to make new homes here on the surface world. And as a result of that, the Asura hold a lot of disgust towards Elder Dragon Primordus. And if we're trying to make like least favorite Elder Dragons, you know, everyone hates all the Elder Dragons, but the Asura very much hate Primordus more so than any of the other 4 Elder Dragons that we know about. So instead of hating Zaitan, Jormag, Krakatork, or the mysterious deep sea dragon to an immense amount, the Asura very much hate Primordus, but of course they still hate the other 4 Elder Dragons as well, and we're going to see how they interact with them, especially Zaitan, which is the Elder Dragon that we're going to be focusing a lot on at the start of the Guild Wars 2 story here with the personal story. And then we can see here in Metrica province, as well as the capital city Red Asum, as well as all the different strongholds that the Asura have built throughout the world, that the Asura have thrived and survived here on the surface world of Tyria. And we can see with their interactions with all the other races of the world that they have worked together with them and that they have acclimated to all those different races. And we see that very prominently with how the Asura have helped build all the various different waypoints and Asura gates that exist around the world, where every map that we have been in have the Asuran waypoints that they have helped build, where everyone in the world can use them in order to get to where they need to go. And the Asuran waypoints and the Asura gates and the golems are just some various pieces of Asura technology that we will be exploring throughout this entire Let's Play series. The Asura have survived and thrived on the overworld because of how good they are at engineering and innovation and being able to create devices in order to survive. So we will explore all of those, and I think that'll be fun to do as an engineer as well. So I want to start looking at the engineer profession as a whole. We've talked a lot about the Asura and where they are in the world, so let's begin working on these next couple of tasks, and let's start looking at our different weapon skills here. This task itself is really easy to complete, especially nowadays. This task used to be much harder to do because you were actually put inside one of the golems here, but now you can just run around, press F on everything, and then complete it. Really quickly before our next task, I want to highlight two things. One is this fun thing right here, which is just a path over the river here where you can jump over. And then the second thing is, if we come down into the river here, I want to show an area of the world that there might be an event in here, because there is an event that spawns, but it is this cave that beyond the event that spawns in here, there's absolutely nothing in here. And we can come up here, we see there's some fishing we can do there, and there's a veteran crazy inquest researcher that we can go ahead and fight. So let's go ahead and deal with this researcher. This is the event that I was talking about. And this cave is a very special cave to me because I had absolutely no idea that this area existed up until like a month ago when I was showing a friend this game, and she came down here and was like, "What's this?" And then I'm like, "Wow, I've never seen this area before." So in the 10 years of me playing this game, I had no idea this existed, and I'm actually wanting to highlight this in a video at some point, but I'm also highlighting it here as well. And it's just a really random fun area of the world where there's this fun event here where we're fighting this inquest researcher, and she is summoning a bunch of minions, different wildlife around here in order to help her. So let's go ahead and just put an end to whatever this inquest researcher is doing here, and then we can go ahead and head back out of this cave. Very pretty area overall though. And really quickly, I guess I'll just look up here. We can see there's a skylight here, and you can see the sky all the way up there. So let's begin looking at our different engineer skills that we can do. Starting off with our pistol here, we have just a basic auto attack that I've already mentioned with our pistol. But beyond that, we have two other skills with our main hand pistol here. One is poison dart volley, which is basically what it sounds like, where we can shoot a bunch of bullets at an enemy and it'll apply a bunch of poison to it as well. And then our third skill here is static shot, which is discharge a lightning shot that bounces between multiple foes, blinding and confusing them. So it deals a nice amount of damage, blindness, and confusion to a group of enemies around us. So our static shot is a nice AoE kind of crowd control ability. So we can see with our fragmentation shot and our poison dart volley that they deal some nice condition damage, and then our static shot also deals conditions onto our enemies. So pistol overall is a very good condition damage weapon. Let's go ahead and dodge through this, and we can go ahead and get this chest here. This is a little bit controversial, but I really enjoy these tutorials here for teaching you how to dodge. They're not the best tutorial in the game, and that's why they're a little controversial, but I think they do an okay job at kind of explaining the fact that you can dodge for people who haven't figured it out up until this point, and that is assuming that people discover where these are in the world. But I particularly like them because they are individualized for each of the different races. So here we can see that there's a nice little field of static here. I think when we were in the Charr area, it was a bunch of landmines, and it was unique to the Norn and human as well, and it will be unique to the Sylvari once we get there. Let's go ahead and come down into this lake really quickly, and we can go ahead and get the point of interest that's down here. We see that there's some sort of underwater base here built into the rock formation here in the center of the lake. And let's go ahead and come back up here and then deal with some of the high lake. Leveled up to level 8, so we can go ahead and equip some of our underwater weapons there. And now let's begin looking at some of our other engineering stuff as well, beyond the main hand pistol that we have. So looking at our healing skill here, we have Elixir H, and this is an elixir ability, which is one of the special ability lines for the engineer. And this is just a basic heal where it will heal you, and it will also grant you protection, regeneration, and swiftness. So whenever we use this, we'll heal up and we'll get all those buffs for a few seconds, which will be really helpful in combat or escaping or whatever we need it for. In addition to our Elixir H here, Engineer has a very special mechanic where they have this tool belt slot here. So with any of our skills here, with our healing skill, our elite skill, or our 3 different utility skills, whatever we have slotted in here, we will also gain a miniature version of it. So we have Toss Elixir H. So here we just have our normal Elixir H where we could drink it for healing and the stats. We have this one here where we can toss it, which will grant the buffs to ourselves and our allies up to 5 people. So it is just like a little smaller version of this that does basically the same thing but in a little bit of a different way and to a lesser degree. So whenever we are picking skills for our utility skills here, we should also be conscious of what we are picking because it's going to change what skills we have up here as well, and we can explore all the different options we have here. So we can go ahead and throw this down on us, and then we can also use our Elixir H there, and we'll just have a ton of buffs. We can go ahead and get this hero challenge here, and then there's also another Crazed Hylic that we can fight. We are almost done with this task, and this is the last task that we have to complete in the starting area here, and then we can go ahead and begin heading out of here. So let's get this waypoint right here, and then I want to jump over here because we can see that there are some diving goggles here, and then this is also just a little bit of a fun area because you have this giant river here, and just like a lot of areas here in the Magnuba jungle, there is a fun jumping puzzle here. This might be like one of my favorite regions in the world just because of how much like natural jumping there is. Of course nowadays, because of all the different things that have been added, you don't really have to jump across this, but for us who is just beginning out, this is very nice to be able to get across to the other side. Let's go ahead and jump off here and we can go into the water, and then let's begin swimming off this way. I do have this point of interest over here, so I might actually just waypoint over here, grab this point of interest, and then let's go ahead and talk to the scout. We can get this lab POI, and then let's go ahead and run straight back this way, and then we can come through a passage in the mountains here. There's another little bit of a place we can jump up to, but there's nothing up there that we have to go get. But we can come around here, and then let's go ahead and talk to this Peacemaker. The Peacemakers are like the security force of the Asura, similar to like the Seraph of humanity.
The marsh north of Soren Dry is remarkably tumultuous. Senior researcher Shun and his salvage crew clash with the Inquest as they race to unearth an artifact at the old Golem Foundry site. Across the river from the old Golem Foundry, the Brill Alliance crew has begun researching Skrit, who make for troublesome, uncooperative test subjects. These crews can always use extra hands.
So we have a big task up here that we can complete. This is the first task out of the starting zone, and I believe it's going to be the last task that we do for this episode. So let's go ahead and come into here, and we can come into this Inquest base called the Fun House, and let's begin dealing with all the things in here, and we can go ahead and work our way up towards completing this task here. I'm going to go ahead and come into our equipment here, and I'm going to equip a pistol in our offhand. So now we can begin looking at 2 brand new abilities. One is called Blowtorch, which is unleash flames from a pistol to burn foes, deal more damage the closer you are. So this is a good attack to deal when we are up close to an enemy, and it's also good with all of our other skills here because it deals conditions. So we can apply poison, we can apply blindness, confusion, we can apply bleeding, and now we can apply burning. Our last skill here is called Glue Shot, which is coat the target area with a glue puddle that immobilizes foes on impact, then cripple foes that remain within. So this is even more conditions that we can do, and similar to our Static Shot, which is kind of a crowd control ability that we can use. This one here is also a crowd control ability, but of different things. So let's go ahead and use it on this group of Inquest here, and you can see we can immobilize them all, and this is especially good against like melee targets because we saw those Inquests there, they have swords, and they were trying to deal damage to us, but fortunately for us, we were able to root them down in place and they couldn't get up to us to hit us with their swords. Let's go ahead and come around here, and we can go ahead and get this hero challenge here, Arcanic Interferometer. With the Asura, there are different pieces of technology and other things as well, sometimes have very complex names, so I will be struggling with that because I have a hard time pronouncing a lot of different words, so this is not going to be helping me out. Let's go ahead and fight Veteran Master Genius Jets and 2 of his assistants, and then we can get another hero point for us. And then I'm going to go ahead and come into our equipment one more time, and I'm going to go ahead and equip a shield into our offhand. So with Core Engineer, we have pistol in our main hand, pistol in our offhand, and then shield in our offhand. And then in addition to that, we also have a rifle that we can equip, but we'll explore that next episode. So for the only other weapon that we have left, it's the shield here. And for our first skill here, we have the magnetic shield, which creates a magnetic field that reflects projectiles and can be released to knock foes back. So I can go ahead and knock that Inquest back, and it is a very fun ability. And then our last skill here is static shield. So electrify your shield, preparing to throw it at foes, stun nearby enemies that attack you while blocking. So let's go ahead and use it, and then we can use it again, and we can throw it like a Captain America shield, and we can just stun them. So with a shield, just like what you would expect from a shield, is a very defensive weapon, where with it we are able to block and reflect a ton of different attacks, and then we can also use it to stun our enemies, so it's a very good crowd control weapon as well. Overall, with the engineer weapons, I tend to like the rifle the most, so we will be sticking to that a lot because that's what I'm wanting to play with. But we'll go ahead and explore that next episode. I'm going to go ahead and just use a pistol as we finish up this area here. We just completed this task here, and we also completed this event. Let's go ahead and stick around here just a little bit so we can go ahead and finish this event chain here. Where we came in here and we were helping free some of the Asura that were captured by the Inquest. Now we're dealing a ton of damage to the Inquest base here, and then let's go ahead and see if we can defeat whatever leader is in here.
Advance no farther. You will pay for what you've done to our lab.
Oh yeah? Who's going to enforce this payment?
Thank you for asking. I'd like you to meet my enforcers. Inquest Golem Assault Force, activate.
No, the gate. Your wicked creation controls it, I see.
Don't pretend to understand our device. You couldn't hope to fathom its capabilities and intricacies.
Activation complete. Intruders will be contained and eliminated.
Purge these golems from our world. I will not tolerate such evil in my presence. We can handle these without even an ounce of perspiration.
So let's go ahead and fight all these golems here. This is like the final boss of this area. And we can go ahead and open this gate so we can escape out of here. And we'll also be able to free all of our shared friends that we have helped. I changed my audio settings to remove a lot of the player chatters. Whenever I get a buff, you kind of say something. So I removed that because I find it annoying. And I'm hoping to be able to figure out a way to kind of make enemy noises a little smaller as well. I'm hoping to find a way to make enemy noises a little quieter as well.
We did it. Follow me, crew. We're getting out of here.
And with having completed that event, we have leveled up all the way to level 10. Let's go ahead and get out of here. We can go ahead and run through this cave here, can get our level up reward here, and then let's go ahead and drop down here onto this coastline here, and then let's get this waypoint, and then we can see that we have completed the first part, the first third of Metrica Province, the first zone of the Asura, and we are now level 10, and I believe I'm going to go ahead and call this episode good here. Hope you all enjoyed watching this episode. I very much enjoyed taking our first look at the Asuran race, and we will continue exploring the Asura in the next episode. Hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. I will see you next time in the world of Guild Wars 2. Goodbye.